We should all be in prison. Kevin Costner gets candid about Yellowstone's ending. John Dutton actor Kevin Costner opens up on the Yellowstone ending and what he thinks the characters deserved. Premiering in 2018 and airing for 5 seasons, Yellowstone Season 5. Part 2 marked the show's conclusion, airing on December 15, 2024. The series final had a polarized reception, as Costner controversially left Yellowstone, and protagonist John Dutton was killed off the show. Costner's exit was due to myriad reasons, with a major one being his desire to shoot his Western passion project, Horizon, an American saga. Costner and historian Doris Kearns Goodwin sat down with E.T. to discuss their new docuseries, The West, which premieres on History Channel on May 26. In their discussion, Costner addressed the future of his ambitious Horizon project, his legacy in the Western genre, and most interestingly, how he feels the Dutton family should have ended up in Yellowstone. Costner complimented the show's ability to beautifully capture modern-day ranching, but acknowledged that the show is also a soap opera, and that presumably the Duttons should all be in prison. Check out Costner's full statement below. Many Yellowstone fans were frustrated with Kevin Costner for prematurely leaving the series, as it never fully recovered after the death of the Dutton family patriarch. For his part, Costner expressed hurt feelings for being what he felt was fully blamed for his Yellowstone departure. He also said in 2023 that he'll probably go to court for not being paid the $12 million he claims he's owed for the back half of Season 5. However, Costner has consistently been complimentary of the show's high quality, and his recent comment to E.T. reflects that. His calling the show a soap opera is not a dismissal. He's simply pointing out that the show has pulpy elements, and that yes, if it were more realistic, the Duttons and their allies would likely be incarcerated for their many crimes. Though Joan and Jamie ended up dead, Beth and Case got their happily ever afters, at least for now, as that could all change in their upcoming spin-off shows. It remains to be seen whether Costner will end up in court over the Yellowstone pay dispute. But even if that gets resolved, it's unlikely that he'll reprise his role as John Dutton in any way, shape, or form. In addition to the bad blood, Costner has his plate full with his The West docuseries and intent to finish the Horizon saga. It's unclear if he'll accomplish the latter, as Costner is currently in a legal battle with the bank, which wants to recoup costs as Horizon, an American saga. Chapter 1 reportedly cost $100 million to make, but only grossed $38 million at the worldwide box office. From a legal and moral standpoint, Kevin Costner is absolutely right in that the Duttons should be in prison. Every single one of them has killed people, and so has Beth's husband and the ranch enforcer, Rip Wheeler. But throwing the lot of them behind bars would make for a pretty boring show. It's much more entertaining to have the Duttons and co. living out their soap operatic Western life with their multiple trips to the train station. We'll see if Beth, Rip, and Case have to answer for their crimes in their spin-offs, and we're confident they'll commit a few new ones too. However, while we don't want to see them in orange jumpsuits anytime soon, the threat of prison would be excellent stakes in the future Yellowstone series. But no matter what happens to his television children, it'll be fascinating to get Kevin Costner's take on the newest installments of the franchise he made so iconic. Kevin Costner sat beneath the wide Montana sky, the rolling plains behind him a mosaic of golden grass and scattered cattle. The wind tugged gently at his worn cowboy hat as he leaned back in his chair, a half-smile on his face that didn't quite reach his eyes. The legend himself, who had become inseparable from the name John Dutton, was finally ready to speak plainly about the end of Yellowstone. And in classic Costner fashion, he didn't mince words. "We should all be in prison," he said, chuckling. "Honestly, every single one of us." It wasn't the kind of statement you'd expect from an actor reflecting on the most iconic television role of his career. But then again, Yellowstone was never just about cattle ranching or cowboy hats. It was about legacy, blood, betrayal, and a moral compass spinning wildly, trying to find true north in a world that never stood still. Costner's statement echoed the show's chaotic DNA. From the first episode, viewers were thrust into a frontier drenched in power struggles and backdoor deals, where the Duttons fought tooth and nail to protect their land, even if it meant skirting the law, or flat out breaking it. I mean, think about it, Costner said, leaning forward. We've buried bodies, rigged elections, run people off roads. The only thing we haven't done is rob a bank. And that's probably just because no one wrote it into a script. There was that slight twinkle in his eye again, part movie star charm, part old school rebel. But behind the grin was something deeper, a reckoning. As Yellowstone galloped toward its final season, fans were bracing for the inevitable, the fall of the House of Dutton, and perhaps some long overdue consequences. But Costner's candid words gave voice to a theme the show had danced around for years. How long can you fight fire with fire before everything burns? I always saw John Dutton as a man out of time, Costner explained. He's trying to protect a world that's disappearing. But in the process, he becomes the very thing he's fighting against. There's tragedy in that, and a kind of justice too. The decision to end the show wasn't easy, nor was Costner's departure from the role. Rumors had swirled for months, creative differences, scheduling conflicts, maybe even a growing chasm between Costner and series creator Taylor Sheridan. But now, with the dust settling, Costner seemed at peace with it all. You tell a story for so long, and then you reach the last page, he said. Some people want a happy ending. Others want a bloodbath. But what Yellowstone always gave us was consequence. We don't walk away clean. We never could. He paused, gazing at the horizon where the sun was starting to dip low, casting a burnished gold across the prairie. I think that's what I meant about prison. Maybe not literal bars, but the emotional kind. The guilt, the weight of every bad choice. John carries that. And so do the others. Indeed, fans have watched Beth wage psychological warfare against her enemies, and sometimes her family, watched Case kill in the name of justice, watched Jamie destroy and self-destruct. There were no heroes on Yellowstone, only survivors. And perhaps that's why Costner's words resonated so deeply, because survival, in the end, has a cost. In real life, he added, people like the Duttons don't get away with it forever. They either die legends or live long enough to become the villain. That's what makes it a Western. That's what makes it Shakespeare. Costner had always approached Yellowstone like a Western tragedy, layered with dust, grit, and Shakespearean fatalism. It wasn't just a show about a ranch. It was a show about power, who has it, who wants it, and what they're willing to do to keep it. And now that it's coming to an end, fans are hungry for closure. Will John Dutton die? Will Beth finally destroy Jamie once and for all? Will the Dutton Empire crumble under the weight of its own corruption? I can't give that away, Costner said, grinning. But I will say this, nobody walks away without paying the bill. There was something final in his tone. Not bitter, not regretful, just final. The ending of Yellowstone is more than the end of a show. It's the closing of a chapter in modern storytelling. It brought the Western back into the spotlight, but not in the clean, romanticized way of old. Instead, it gave us dirt under the fingernails, bruised egos, and moral ambiguity. It made us question who we were rooting for, and why. And at the center of it all stood Kevin Costner, the grizzled patriarch who loved his land so fiercely he was willing to do anything, to keep it. John Dutton isn't a role I can just walk away from, Costner admitted. He's in my bones now. I don't know if I'll ever do something like this again. But I'm grateful, and I'm proud.